Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Yes, reunited again. We're back in action just in time for the end of the year. I don't know where I was going with that, but welcome back. It's been a minute, as the kids say, but we're here. If we're doing this as a live, but it will kind of function as a standalone video too. So while the live people are still making their way here, hopefully they come. You and I need to have a moment here because I just need to tell you, I'm going to be catching up on a couple of things. Where have I been? I've been somewhere. I've been a couple of somewheres. Why? What's been going on behind the scenes? What's coming up next, maybe? What to look forward to? All of that good stuff. So we're going to do some updates. We're going to look at some records. Most importantly, we're going to talk to you guys, and I want to learn what you've been up to, what's coming up next. Maybe you reflect a little bit. I was thinking about doing this tomorrow on New Year's Eve, but I've decided that we'll do it today. Maybe I'll do a small something tomorrow. That's still to be determined. Not sure yet. So mostly just thank you for making time to be here. And let me go over to the live chat and say, welcome to Second Chance Junkyard. Just went through a name change. And before, I would know you as, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, Chris. I had a wonderful Christmas. Thank you so much. It was really cool. Very unique. I haven't opened my presents yet. Why? Stay tuned. I'll tell you why. Greg, welcome in. Greg, I hope you enjoyed the Vlogmas episodes over on my wife's channel, Rain's Place. We did all kinds of fun Christmas stuff. Hope you're able to enjoy it. WHHS Entertainment, Second Chance Junkyard. I like it. It rolls off the tongue a little bit better. I like it. Welcome in, one and all. Yes, we've got some updates. Things have happened, and I can't wait to share it with you. It's been good, though. It's been very, very good. And looking forward to a wonderful new year, full of new beginnings, full of fresh starts, all kinds of good stuff. And yeah, we had a wonderful, blessed Christmas. And looking for a equally blessed New Year's Eve. And then back to work next week, hitting the ground running, both with my day job and with this. I guess you could call it my night job. But this is obviously an absolute hoot for me to do. I love it, love it, love it. So I want to hear all about your Christmas. I want to hear about what you got, what you gave, what you didn't get. So you're going to get now that you have some Christmas money, hopefully. Or perhaps, and more importantly, what wonderful memories you made, what wonderful times you had. Did you go see somebody? Did you do something? What happened in your world over the last couple of weeks? We haven't really uploaded a lot of content recently, sort of sporadically been peppering in things just so YouTube doesn't think that the channel's dying off. It's very much not. We are coming into let's see. We started in 2017. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This will be our 7th year. April, I think it's 22nd, will mark 7 years. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Beans. So what are you guys doing? What's going on? What's the haps? 16 people in so far. Hopefully more people come in. Just drinking some Everclear. It's actually just water. Just some water. I need to be better hydrated. I have been kicking off my mornings lately with some caffeinated beverage and enjoying it. But, in the evening time, I got to stay hydrated. My body doesn't handle caffeine well. So I have to tread lightly. So you may notice something different around, not just my bad hair, but something, sort of unique behind me that wasn't there before. Oh, we had a great Christmas, Greg. I'm going to tell you all about it in a minute, actually. Gary, welcome in. My kids bought me the limited edition of the Garth Brooks Legacy box set. That's awesome. That is really, really cool. I love Garth Brooks music. Absolutely. Marcus says, hey, just got a nice Motown OG pressing of the Supremes. Where did our love go? That's awesome. What a great find. Absolutely. That's super cool. Messages are flying in. Messages are flying Jeez. Okay. Second, I've been trying out a dramatized Bible cassette album recently. That's cool. That sounds like something you pick up at a thrift store. I see those from time to time. Like I could totally listen to like Charlton Heston reads the Bible, or Sean Connery. Sean Connery. Drop your sins now. Or I was actually trying to say Patrick Stewart. That would be very cool. Okay, so here's the update. I don't want to hold you in suspense too long. So the update was, and I've got some things to share and some other things coming up later. So don't just jut out of here as soon as I tell you this, because there's more. I got more, but there's more. But wait, there's more. Picked up some Al Hurt because of you in it. I got to have some Al Hurt. You got to have a little Al Hurt in the collection. Horns Aplenty. I think that's the one. I have like one or two. Gotta go for the Al Hurt. You can't go wrong. The older I get, the more I'm enjoying the genre of beautiful music. More on that in a little bit, because I picked up what is arguably the best example that I found so far. Gary says they're 180 gram vinyl with CDs of each album and a 3 LPs live. Wow. That sounds like quite a set. Really cool set. Okay. So for Christmas, we traveled. Yes. Before Christmas, we took off and went to 2 cities with Kiki the dog in tow. Now, Kiki the dog does not like when we road travel. She kind of vibrates and gets this sort of crazed eel face. She's a Chihuahua terrier mix, so she kind of looks crazed to begin with, bulging eyes and all that stuff. She's a sweet dog. She's an old dog. She's a shelter pet. And so, we treat her like a princess because that's what she is and what she deserves. But we were like, you know what? Really don't want to drive to Denver. We did drive out here when we moved here 9 months ago, but we really didn't want to drive again with her. She just doesn't like to be in the car. So we're like, how do you think she'd handle planes? Now we were concerned, like, because, dogs' ears don't really like, air pressure changes of airplanes and stuff. And it was a gamble. And we thought, well, let's give it a shot. So first we went to Houston to see our daughter and her family, the grandkids. Oh, it was such a good time. I've been saying it all over the last week and a half or so, is that, how do I say this? Being loved as a grandfather and the kind of love that your grandkids give you is a feeling and emotion that you didn't know you were capable of until it happens to you. It's more than just, oh, they're cute and they love me and I love them because we're related. No, it's a deep connection. It's a deep connection. You have a deep connection to your spouse. You have a deep connection to your children, and you have a deep connection to your grandchildren. I wonder what grandchildren are like. I hope and pray that I'm around to find out. So we spent the first few days before Christmas with them in Houston, did some activities and had some fun. Actually filmed a show, 2 shows. We filmed a vlog show, which we decided not to post. And we filmed a Record-ology show, which we decided not to post and instead just focus on family time. So they're edited and sort of like, privated. And who knows, maybe in the future, maybe not, I don't know. But really want to just focus on that precious time. Living in another city from family is a new experience for me over the last couple of years. As my daughter has branched out and started her own family, which has been a huge blessing. And our son as well is branching out, and it's interesting. And now we moved out to Florida from Colorado, and so we just had a blast, an absolute blast. And it just went too fast. Then we hopped up. By the way, the dog did really good. She did really good. You have to put them in a pet carrier, and they have to stay underneath the seat in front of you. So it's like, well, how big of a carrier do you get? You go on Amazon, there's all sorts of TSA approved pet carriers, but they're all different heights. So, and if you go to the airlines, we flew 2 different airlines. So went to the airlines, and they had different dimensions that they would allow. So we're like, okay, well, we better take the smallest common denominator. And for her, she's a tiny dog, so it was perfect for her. She could stand up, she could, sit up a bit and turn around, lay down, whatever. Plenty of air ventilation. But we put her under the seat, and we could have got an even bigger one, but she didn't really need one. Anyway, you know how they say also with your bag has to be this size. It won't be allowed, or backpacks have to be this small. And then you get on there and it actually can be more. I had another thought that maybe it's about the aircraft in the fleet. Like maybe there's an aircraft that can't accommodate that. So they have to use the least common denominator of aircraft stowage space, not knowing which plane you're going to end up on. Anyway, enough of that. We, Christmas Eve, flew out of Houston into Denver. And I was excited. I was so excited, obviously, to see our family. And that was, incredible beyond words to be with and see and, continue that family in Houston and in Denver. We just had it was a complete recharge, seeing my children who I admire and love so much, seeing other relatives as well. Incredible, incredible time. And it's also weird flying on Christmas Eve. It's like something you would see in a movie. I kind of felt like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, but actually no, because he wasn't flying. He was stuck home alone. But anyway, kind of bummed. I downloaded some music. One of the airlines we flew was Frontier. And if you haven't flown Frontier, it is the great value of airlines. It used to be great. They used to have, before anybody else did it, TVs in the back of the headrests. You could, they had free direct TV, and it was great. It was premium. It was kind of a Colorado-based airline. And then bad things happened, in my opinion, over the years, and it became not the greatest airline, in my opinion. So now it's very, very Spirit and Southwest are an upgrade. Let me just put it that way. But the rates are very, very good, and that's how they compete. So especially one-way rates. So anyway, somebody on the plane asked what was the Wi-Fi password, and the flight attendant laughed. And they're like, "This is Frontier. There is no Wi-Fi." And there was not. So we had prepared by downloading a couple movies, some music and stuff. And everything that I downloaded on my phone was corrupted. I couldn't listen to anything that was from Orlando to Houston. And I ended up sharing my wife's earbuds, and we watched Coco, which I had been wanting to see for some time. It was surprisingly good. It was surprisingly really good. The ending, very powerful, a tearjerker. Then going into Denver, it was just a fantastic experience. Traveling on the holidays was bizarre. Getting into town late at night, and just had a wonderful several days there. And then a couple of days ago, came home. Long flight from Denver back here. I was curious, would the experience make me want to move back? Because, who knows what the future holds? Who knows if someday we would sell the house and go back, or if we would just stay entrenched where we are? Nobody knows for sure, but I was curious what the feeling would be after being away for 9 months. And the feeling was we made the right decision moving out here. I love, love, love the memories and the people that are out there, and some key eating establishments that have not been able to replicate here so far. But that being said, the cold was painful. The snow was fun for 5 minutes, and so glad to get out of there on that level. If we could just take all the people we love with us from both Houston and Denver, life would be perfect. So it's sort of been this ongoing thing. My wife and I trying to talk everybody into moving out here. How many pictures of our feet in the sand on a tropical beach is it going to take before people leave the population density of Houston and the freezing of Denver behind and say, that's it, we're going to paradise? And anyway, very thankful to be here. So that's what we did. We went to Houston, we went to Denver, and we're back and kind of hunkering down and staying local for the next few weeks. And then we're off for, more adventures. We'll see where that happens to go. Record-ology will be back in full swing here after the new year. And I've got some things that didn't quite make it in last month or this month that will happen, and all of that fun stuff. So that is the news where we've been, and we're back. Thought about pre-filming episodes like I've done in the past, but really wanted to focus on time with the family. Glad we did. On one hand, I missed you guys. On the other hand, it's been a great break, not from YouTube, but just a break from the sort of, how do you say it, the doldrums of life, the routines, kind of breaking it up a bit and doing new things. And Kiki is an intrepid traveler. She did great. Yoshi the bird went to stay at a boarding place, and he had a good time. He sent a couple postcards, said, "Mom and Dad, I'm having fun. Don't hurry back. Making new friends, all that good stuff." Let's get caught up on comments. I want to talk to you about, I mentioned I didn't open my presents yet. What am I talking about? Well, we were out of town for them. We did do a couple of things here and there, but I picked up some records, and it's sort of an unexpected story how that came to be. I want to tell you about that story and show you the records here in a minute. But first, I need to get caught up on comments. My apologies for falling behind, like I always do. Greg, how was your, oh yeah, I already answered that. Greg, was a great Christmas. Marcus says, picked up some Alhurt. Okay, I read that too. Okay, where am I really at? I heard that Chihuahuas were called ankle biters. It's funny you mentioned that. Kiki is not a biter, thankfully. But she does this thing where she's very territorial because she's half Chihuahua, half Terrier, Yorkshire Terrier. She's a Yorkie Chihuahua mix. And sometimes she'll do this thing where she kind of barks and charges but stops just short, like she's bluffing kind of a deal. And if she were to attack, it probably would be at ankle height. Thankfully, she doesn't do that, hasn't done that. And but she does protect those that she loves, which is mostly my wife and occasionally me. Where do you get 78 records, says Greg? That's a good question. 78s. And that's going to lead me to a quick aside because it's a good segue into this. This is the difference back here. Where did the Pioneer go? Where do I get 78s? Usually at thrift stores and antique stores. I haven't really bought maybe more than one or two online, like eBay. They're brittle. They will break. And it's a risk ordering them. There's lots of fun places to get them. And you get them all over the place. Kurt Knox, by the way, touring Kurt Knox in Houston. Didn't have time for it this time around. Did it about a year or so ago. It was like Fort Knox. He calls it Fort Knox. It was like the Willy Wonka candy factory of records. I saw things that were one of a kind. First sound recordings out of Africa. Test pressings of Edison and all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyway, Kurt Knock does an auction quarterly, I think it is, maybe more frequently than that. That's a good place if you want to do that auction route. And it's like a traditional auction, not like eBay. But for me, mostly it's been opportunistic finds meaning that I wasn't planning. I wasn't hunting for a certain thing. It's just like I would like to find Glenn Miller records, and eventually I come across those, usually in person. They're pretty beat up in a lot of times. So finding good condition 78s is tricky. Now, to transition to this discussion point, so you'll notice up here is not the Pioneer. I still have the Pioneer PLX 500. I like it. I do like that. It's beautiful. It's hefty. It's a quality product. It's a hair cheaper than buying its near twin, the LP 120 series. Does have a bit of platter wobble. I don't know about that. And there's a little bit, no VTA adjustment. No, there is VTA adjustment, but it doesn't go down low enough to give you an even tracking angle. The cartridge, let me actually use a real cartridge to show you. The cartridge, when it's on the record, is kind of kilted like that. Kilted. And you can correct that by adding a little bit more thickness on the platter mat, which I do, and it's fine. But the platter wobble, a little, not audible. I even sent a video to Pioneer, and I said, is this within your specifications? And they're like, yeah. Would I get it again if I could go back and spend my $320? I bought it used. It was barely used. The guy had opened it for 2 weeks and then had an opportunity to buy a much higher end turntable. So I bought basically open box new turntable for $320. Normally it would have been $360. So I don't know. I think I would have rather had the regular LP120X USB. The Bluetooth feature, I don't really care about that. In fact, I don't even know if the PLX has Bluetooth. I don't think so. Anyway, so long story short, that went into storage. and I brought out my UTurn. It's not on camera, but it's over here where this used to be. So everything got moved. So my UTurn Basic or UTurn Orbit Basic with the MDF platter. Strange. It's how heavy it is. You know, MDF weighs nothing because it's basically like sawdust packed together. Medium density fiberboard is what it technically is. But this is a heavy platter. It's got heft to it. Anyway, it's not the acrylic one. I do have the cueing lever, built-in Phono preamp. It's this beautiful kind of a blue that is indescribable. We did a show on it several weeks ago, a couple, 2-3 months ago probably. And I just got to thinking over the holidays, like, I want to switch it up. I want to change a couple of things. Had a few projects, pet projects that, working full time and then doing, other things on the side. You don't have a lot of time for some pet projects. This is one of them. So I refreshed the setup and I hooked up my Duke Audio. By the way, I saw that my colleague on here, Channel 33, did a review on it, but he didn't do a sound test. He didn't give you the direct feed like we did. We bring the direct feed sound test. Beautiful, but I do agree with him. It is a beautiful and high quality Phono preamp, and it looks cool. It takes up very little space because it's vertical. So I wanted to use that, and because I thought the UTurn didn't have a built-in preamp, and I went to listen to it, and it was all distorted. I'm like, wait a minute, is there a preamp? Sure enough, I had forgotten I have the one with the preamp. So I've got that completely manual turntable right here, pristine conditions. Literally only been used for the demo of the show, and I listened to a couple of records the other day, and that's it. So it's got an Audio-Technica AT91, a variant on there. I still have the Technics SLDL1 direct drive down here, and then I moved the changer up there. Why did I do that? I love this thing too much to put it into storage. Number two, it's tweaked out with that that suspended head shell deal that we reviewed, and it does sound fantastic with a Grado Gold. Nothing wrong with this turntable. The dust cover has accumulated some scuffs, and that's driving me crazy. I really hope I can avoid doing that with the virgin acrylic dust cover on the Orbit. And also, I don't use the changer capability that much. I use it mostly as a single disc automatic player. But when I do want to play it as a stacker, it'll be good for that because it'll be kind of up and out of the way. It's not the most convenient thing for playing a single disc because it's kind of up high here. I mean, how many record players do I need at my arm's length? Now, the thing that I lost in this scenario, this switch up, was I no longer have the ability to play a 78 on my hi-fi setup as is because the PLX was 3 speeds. But it occurred to me when I was thinking through this in my head, how often do I sit down and say, man, I really want to listen to a 78 just to listen to it, not for the show, but to listen for it. And the answer was never. I really rarely. I don't listen to 78s, just to listen to music. Now, I know people are like, oh my gosh, what did he say? Some people love 78s for music and they swear by them, and I love them too, and I think they're great. But I don't have a lot of 78s. They're cumbersome. I have a bunch down here. I have more other places, and it's just not a convenient thing. I'm going to put on an LP if I'm just working, and the fact that you got is 3.5 minutes of music versus at least 20 with usually a 20-minute side to an LP. If I'm working, I don't have time to be flipping records all the time. And then I thought to myself too, like, well, and I do have that special cartridge. In fact, it's right here. It's a 3600, but I got the Fan Steel 3mm groove stylus for it, and I can put that stylus tip on any of my portables that have 78 RPM and a 3600. So the thought process is, if and when I want to do that, such being the case that I want to do a demo or a video, and that was really what I was doing up there. Mostly was videos, little shorts and things. So anyway, it's not set in stone. It's just the way we're starting off the year. I love to continually change up my setup. I leave it for a period of time, and then I make subtle changes. Sometimes I make more drastic ones. Someday I may totally redo the layout in here, the way the office is set up. It's hard to say, but that is the segue into that story I want to tell. So thank you, Greg, for triggering that thought process. Why? Welcome in. Just bought a Suitcase turntable at a thrift store. By the way, if anybody is in here watching the video is new to the channel from the holidays, this is our biggest day of the year is Christmas Day, and this is the biggest kind of moment in the channel for the entire year. Except a couple years ago, we had this strange peak of massive channel traffic on 4th of July. It was strange, but most of the time we get a lot of people during this time. So that's you. If you're new here, welcome. If you haven't figured it out yet, our channel is laid back. We're just people hanging out. There's no arrogance, I hope. There's no egos. There's no, it has to be the best of the best or you can't do it kind of thing. We welcome and people at any stage in the journey, whether that's a Suitcase player, whether that's nothing and just liking to watch this stuff, or whether that's a high-end setup, much higher end than I am. We are the one, the only, in my opinion, that I've found so far. I've put the asterisks out there because some people will be like, oh, I found a guy. Vinyl channel that specializes in entry level. We are that channel. We are also the only channel that has done the most. Is that a sentence? Does that make any sense? Like legalese. But we are the only channel in this vinyl community that I know of that does massive giveaways, records, accessories, and so many record players over the many years of this channel. In fact, there was a few Christmases ago, we gave away a pallet load of new record players and used record players and everything in between. And we definitely have more giveaways coming up. In fact, we were thinking about doing one coinciding with the New Year Eve, but I don't think that's going to happen yet. Look to possibly see something of a giveaway in January, perhaps. We'll see how it comes to fruition. And yeah, I just bought a Suitcase turntable at a thrift store. It turns on, but only sound is coming from the needle if you lean in. So that's just the sound of the needle with no amplification. No sound in the speakers or headphone jack. Is it a stylus replacement issue? Probably not. Probably not. It's probably a blown amplifier or a component level issue. There's nothing in the headphone jack. What I would do first is make sure the back of the cartridge, I have one around here somewhere. Okay, so this is a similar cartridge. Look on the back and you'll see these 4 metal posts. Make sure that there's wires connected. There'll be like one black wire with a coupler connected to the bottom, and then there'll be like a red and a white wire. Make sure the wires are connected because you could hear the ambient needle vibrations without any it's just acoustic. You're just hearing the sound. But if you're not getting sound of the speakers and the headphone jack, that means either A, it's not getting out of the cartridge, or the fault is very early in the circuit processing, meaning that it affects both the headphone jack and the speakers. Look for the wires. If the wires are there, check the audio output in the back, the RCA left and right output. Check that. If that's also out, and that's probably why it got donated, it could have an issue with a component that's bad. The amplifier could have been popped. It's hard to say. It does happen. Hopefully you didn't pay too much. At a thrift store, a Suitcase player shouldn't have cost you more than $15-20 maximum. And even at those prices, it should have been working. You may want to take it back. Now, I know that people freak out whenever I say about taking something back to a thrift store, but those are retail establishments, okay? And you can do that. You can take stuff back. And for me, I've donated so many. You should have seen when we moved here. The haul that I provided I kept Goodwill's electronics section in Colorado in business for probably the rest of 2023. I would love to have been there the day after I donated all that stuff if I was looking for that kind of stuff. That being said, I still took a ridiculous amount of equipment with me, and it's grown exponentially here. But anyway, yeah, take that back if it doesn't work. You don't want to be stuck with something. I love thrift stores because they do so much good. They offer jobs and funding, and we should all donate. We should all, support them. But at the same time, you shouldn't be stuck with a broken product. If you're brave and want to take the risk of never, it's like a do or die kind of situation, you may open it up if you feel safe doing so. I'm not advocating that. In fact, don't do that. I'm telling you and advising you against that. But if you were to go against my advisement and open it up and you are trained and able to do that, it is feasible that the part could be fixed by a trained technician, not somebody who's not trained. So if you're a trained technician, certified, insured, realizing the risks and realizing I'm advising you against it, that's a thought process. But no, don't open it. I'm telling you, don't open it up. Get a new one and wait for the opportunity to invest in another one. I'm sorry that happened. Marcus says, I thought it was cool seeing both of my YouTuber favorites in the same video. Which one was that? Which video, Marcus? Did I miss an earlier comment? That'll hurt. If you're talking about my very brief appearance on Adam the Woo's channel a couple weeks ago, that was wild. That was wild. I was at Hope Thrift, which he goes to frequently, and I found out that he was there. And it's not the first time running into him. I'm a huge fan of his. It's really hard for me not to just be this goofball gushing fangirl, because that's what I am. I tend to fangirl way too much. And I didn't expect him to turn the camera on me. And he's kind of like, what's your channel name? And I'm like, Record-ology, vinyl records, blah, 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 blah. Oh boy. Anyway, it was fun. It was cool. I mean, it's kind of an honor, right? To be on. I think it's cool. Anyway, I'm just geeking out again. If that's what you're talking about, I fully agree. Christopher Colton, welcome in. Yo, I picked up an Elvis 68 comeback special for £1 today. Do you know how rare it is and how much it's worth? So here at Record-ology, we enjoy records more for what's in it than what it's worth. We just listen to records. I don't know that much about record valuation, and other than specific artists that I know that I want a record of. Like, for instance, when I was deep diving in Patsy Klein, and I learned through my research what certain records were and how much they should cost. And, you know, it's not like worth a lot of money, best of my knowledge, but if it's worth something to you for listening to it, and I see that there's comments in here saying the same thing. So best resource for you is go see what they're selling for. Go on eBay, not what they're being listed for or sold, you know, the asking price, but what the selling price is, what they're actually selling for. Go on Discogs. Greg, 78s, antique stores, thrift stores. That's the biggest thing. Marcus, being an Elvis collector, don't know if you saw the thumbnail. Stay tuned. I picked up a good Elvis record. Does anyone know Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo? That soundtrack on vinyl? No, I do not know. And sorry if I'm addressing questions that were dealt with, 20 minutes ago. Tim Allen. Hello, Mr. Record-ology. Haven't left my town since before the pandemic. It's kind of crushed my spirit of adventure. Tim, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Oh, it's been weird. By the way, it's honored to have you in here. I was watching some of your videos just the other day. Yeah, it was weird. I traveled before, during, and after the pandemic, and it's been bizarre. Still wear a mask on the plane. Better safe than sorry. And but it's weird. It's so much better now than it was during the pandemic. But I don't blame you. It's the landscape has changed, and I know that people were super critical of other people during that time, like wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, buying toilet paper, not buying toilet paper, buying a lot of toilet paper. I don't judge anybody. It's a big thing that none of us had really dealt with. So how we responded was perfect for us. And so I respect that. I hope you get out there again and keep exploring and tell me exactly where to find the 29-cent, 24-cent records that you have. And if thrift stores, $4 a record back in Colorado. It's insane. Run DMC is the best. Love Run DMC. My first CD purchase, 2 of them. I bought 2 CDs. Went to Soundtrack. Remember that store? Sound Warehouse? Soundtrack. Sound Warehouse? Anyway, I bought Run DMC's Greatest Hits. Was listening to that over the holidays. Christmas in Hollis. Excellent song. Underrated. And then very different spectrum. Garth Brooks, Rope in the Wind. Love that album as well. And then I got Rope in the Wind, and I got Stephen Curtis Chapman, The Great Adventure, for my first Christmas. No, my first CDs for Christmas. And then I got some money, enough to buy one CD, and went out and bought Run DMC's Greatest Hits. Anthony says, is it true that AAA vinyl records have an infinite bit rate, or is it still limited to the bit depth of 75 decibels? That's a great question. I have no idea. I need to look into that. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I do not know. That's a great question. Second Chance Junkyard. Christopher, Prince is the best. Prince is all up to you. The way I feel about it is this. First of all, I admire him and his career and, the uniqueness of the product that he offered. Am I putting on Prince willingly? Not really. I can listen to kind of like greatest hits songs of his and kind of enjoy it. It's just not my favorite. A lot of people love Prince though. So if that's you, that's great. Matthew says, did you know Larry Gatlin and his brothers did an album called Houston to Denver? Really? Which is based on Denver, and I need to get the LP. Anyone who knows country music knows. Yeah, I know who the Gatlin brothers are, but I didn't know about that album. Ivy Poison. I almost found one of Ringo Starr's solo albums at my local Goodwill today, but it was only in sleeve. I hate it when that happens. Jeremy, welcome in. Thank you for moderating. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful tail end of 2023. Anthony, sorry you had to repeat the question. I'm notoriously slow at answering comments. And all that to hear me say, I don't know. I'm sorry. Jenny Skunk, afternoon from Brisbane, Australia. Welcome in. Days of Our Lives fan page. What do you think about the Crosley record player Suitcase? I have one, and I'm scared to use it because of all the things I've heard about them. You must be new here, and that's a good thing because you have come to the Crosley channel, the Crosley friendly YouTube channel. No, they don't damage records. They do not damage records. They track heavier. So, right, the needle is resting on the record, and it has more weight on a Crosley Suitcase player. And that's by design of the cartridge. It's functioning exactly how it's designed. It's not going to damage your records. Over the period of time, and I'm talking, it depends on how often you play them, so I'm not going to say a period of time. Over the period of a number of plays, you are going to wear that record faster than you would with a turntable like this that is set to track currently, I think that's set to track at 1.5 grams, 1.75 maybe. So lighter weight, less wear. It's analog. There's contact happening. So there's going to be, physical abrasion happening, even with the finest, lightest pickups. I don't use that term very often, but cartridges. So the Suitcase players, not the best sounding experience, but it's a great way to start. And we've done a lot of videos about that. So search our channel for Crosley and Suitcase players. You'll see a lot. Don't be scared. They're fine. Greg, no worries, man. You can ask me as much as you want. Relatively new. It was $10. They said it is returnable. Yes, go for it. As a musician, I buy a lot of stuff from thrifts, mostly stage wear and video gear from thrifts. That's awesome. Really, really cool. Jeremy, it's okay. Let Greg's comments through. They're totally fine. I appreciate it though. I play Christmas records on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That's awesome, Greg. Glad you're having fun out there. What were some of your favorites? Jenny says, still worth it. Still worth it wearing a mask on suburban buses and trains. You know, I still get a little nervous. I have caught the illness a couple of times over the years. Thankfully, it seems that, and I've heard from medical professionals that the mutations are getting weaker and weaker. That's what I've heard. I'm not saying that. I'm not advising anybody of anything. My experience is that from the first time to the second time of having that or believing I've had that, it was less difficult to get through. For me personally, it's the cough, a lingering cough, like for weeks. I also have acid reflux, so it's hard to distinguish between that. So if I have coffee, soda, gum, mints, things that trigger acid reflux, it's miserable. Thanks. Thank you, Jeremy. We as a band have been hoping to release some of our albums on vinyl. That is what's next for us. We've released CDs, but vinyl especially. It's expensive to do. It's really expensive to do. I admire you for going for that. Oh, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it. We'll definitely keep them coming. Old radios in the house. My other Sony cameras work except that model. Which model? They're coming out of order now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get caught up on comments here. Have you ever tried the Art DJ Pre 2 Phono preamp? I have not. I have not tried that. I'm currently running the Duke Audio vertical tube preamp and the Fozzy Audio Box X4 tube preamp. Both of them are among the best Phono preamps that I've ever had. They sound great, even if they're by no-name brands. Frisco Gaming, welcome in. Did you see our recent video on handheld gaming? We did. I can never get that many views on a video on gaming. And it's not a gaming channel, so I guess it makes sense. But yeah, I got a fully modded, updated backlit screen DMG, and it's a wonderful and beautiful thing. Finally, going to get that 78 stylus I broke in 2020. Oh, good for you, old radios. That's awesome. I still haven't replaced my Ortofon 78 cartridge. The stylus is expensive. You could buy a new cartridge for what the needle costs on this. Greg, that's awesome, man. What records did you play? That is so cool. Old radios have been buying vintage video cameras from eBay, and this model in particular has been so problematic. Dang, it's hard. Well, don't give up. Keep looking. I want to talk about some records I picked up in Denver. Traveling with records is always a trick. By the way, when I did a little thrifting when I was out there. So I missed the thrift stores of Denver. We had the best thrift stores. There was Goodwills and Salvation Armies and Arc thrift stores and other ones. Those were the main ones. And I really enjoyed just kind of going on rotation, and you'd find stuff. And I just like the way they were laid out. And it's been something I've done since I was a kid. I remember my grandma, when I was a kid, would take me shopping for, clothes and stuff at the thrift store. And I remember wanting to find Nikes because those were cool. And I wanted to find a jean jacket because those were cool. And if I ever found a jean jacket, now I was growing so fast, something that hasn't changed, that I remember having to find a jean jacket more than once because I would outgrow it as a kid. So been going to thrift stores for a long time. So I was in Denver. I'm like, I have to make time. Like, convincing my wife that thrifting was a worthwhile time when we were only back home, for a matter of a handful of days. She was actually very gracious to let me do that. So we went around to a couple, didn't find anything. I did find somewhere I found one of those old Sharp video cameras. It was like a high 8 one where the screen is like stationary and then you pivot the camera module on the side. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Then I went over to Vinyl Valhalla. Now, it used to be called Joe's Treasure Chest. And my intro If you look at my trailer video is actually filmed at Joe's. They changed their name. They were an antique store with records, and then they went to full vinyl shops so they could participate in like record store days and stuff like that. Changed their name to Vinyl Valhalla, I think is what it's called. Wonderful family run operation. And I used to pop in there on the regular because it was right next to our post office box for the channel, which has been closed down completely. Now, we have been sharing our new post office box for months and months and months, but we did a little bit of overlap just to make sure nothing was coming to the old address before we did close that down. So everything is now shipping to the new one. So that's good. Anyway, so while I was in the area, I had to pop in. And it wasn't really like looking for anything in particular, but I just love looking for records. And, you know, I'm so nerdy. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I am thousands of miles from my records, from my record player. I feel distance from the hobby that I don't like. You can't really travel. You can travel with records. I know there's cases and portable turntables, but if you're flying back home, you're not going to take your records with you. At least most people wouldn't. There's people out there that would. So I left it all behind. I'm like, can't play a record for over a week. I'm going to suffer. So I popped in there and I came out with a handful of vinyl. All of this cost me, I think, $22. We'll see as we go. So the first record I picked up, and I'll tell you the prices too. Here's the Elvis record, Kissin' Cousins. This is one of the soundtrack albums from the 60s. Now, Elvis had stated that he really didn't like the music he made during this time. And I disagree. I mean, I can't disagree with what he thinks is his opinion. But I think this is some of the most entertaining Elvis music are the movie soundtracks. I love them. There are so many of them. And to find one in good condition, you'll spend anywhere from $15 to $25. They're not rare. They're not valuable, but it's not a dollar record. You're not going to likely find this at a thrift store. But this one was listed at $6. They were having a half off sale. If anybody, I think that goes through today or tomorrow. So if you're in the Lakewood area, was it Littleton area, then in the Denver metro, then go check out Vinyl Valhalla. They are having a sale. This is a record that was $6 and I got it for $3. And it's in good conditions. Kissin' Cousins. Look how colorful this is. Really cool stuff. So that was a no-brainer. I do have a named Elvis section. Like I've said before, my records are categorized now with really cool record shop looking, plastic dividers by genre: jazz, rock, pop vocalist, Christmas, kids records, etc. And only a few artists have a named section, like the Elvis section. He's one of them. I don't have very many Elvis records. I have a few, a decent collection of some interesting pieces, but it's not the world's biggest by any means, but it's one bigger now. So what do you guys think? Is that a good buy? Would you pick that up if you're an Elvis fan? Whoever said they're an Elvis collector, tell me if that was a good deal. I think that was, forgot the new name. I'm sorry. Second Chance Junkyard. I think that was you, right? Been buying vintage, problematic, but tried 3 times. Only thing good is lenses I can get using my Bolex. You're dedicated on those cameras, old radios. I want to use that GE camera. So I came across a double perf Kodak 16 millimeter camera because I went to a secondhand store when I was in the Houston area. I didn't get it, but it was heavy. I think it was loaded. It was about this big. It was huge with a triple lens mount. You would have loved it. That's cool. Why? That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it when you guys chat with each other. Don't forget to hit the like button, says Jeremy. I would appreciate that. 23 people and only 14 likes. There's another one. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yes. Thank you, Jeremy, again for moderating. Super appreciated. My GE magnetic cart from the 40s. Ah, awesome. You ever had one of them days, boys? You ever had one of them days? From GI Blues. I have that one. It's a bad condition copy. I love that. You ever have one of them days, boy? Oh, it's so good. The music is so good. My dad raised me right. I was brought up on Elvis. Many of his 45s. I have a modern Elvis 45, like it's a modern pressing on red vinyl. Oh, it's a good one. Cynic Kodak. It could have been. Let me see if I have a picture of it still. Do I have a picture of it? It was cool looking. I don't remember. It was a K100, I think. I want to say K100. Okay, next record I picked up. This was $8, and I got it on sale for $4. Continuing in the things my dad taught me category. It's a Mad, 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 Mad World soundtrack, gatefold edition. Check this out. Oh, tell me that's not awesome. And on the back, this movie had everybody in Hollywood in it. Everybody from Jack Benny to the Three Stooges, in addition to the starring cast, Stanley Kramer's Cinerama production of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, the soundtrack. So this one I knew my dad would light up, and he did when I brought it home and said, look, this is so cool. And it is so cool. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but yeah, that was one of those movies that he introduced me to. It's one of the movies. He's like me. He'll watch movies. Him and I are pretty much the same person, but we'll watch our favorite movies over and over again. Like there's no limit. It's not like, well, I'm bored of that. If it's a favorite movie, it gets watched on repeat for our entire life. That's how I feel. Oh, radios, I'm sorry you're having a rough day, man. It's all right. New beginnings. GI Blues, yeah. 50, 16 millimeter Kodak, but I want a Cynic Kodak Special. Awesome. I don't know how much they were asking for that thing either. Okay, next record. I did not get on discount, but it was only $2, so you can't go wrong. So the Patsy Cline music, somebody asked me the other day, it's like, they said, I keep buying Patsy Cline records, but they never sound good. What am I doing wrong? And I said, there's something to that effect. And I said, well, you may not be doing anything wrong, but the fact of the matter is that the best sounding Patsy Cline records are the originals. So the Decas, the MCAs, and there was a lot of like third party leasing agreements. And sometimes the sound quality on those pressings isn't as good. The actual recordings that were made are absolutely fantastic, especially those in the later part of her career. So I picked up the core Patsy Cline music, another named section in my collection, years ago. Well, yeah, a year or two ago. I've had that for some time. I don't need any more Patsy Cline music, but there are certain ones I just like the cover art, or I like, the version of it. It's kind of like picking up little crumbs, sort of collecting. And this is one that I knew was out there for some time. It's got this very weird piece of wood in the middle here. And this is a tricky record. This is a bit of a marketing gimmick. And let me tell you why. And it actually got me, because I'm like, oh, I know this record, Patsy Cline, $2, put it in the pile. Like I always do, didn't even pull the record out and look at it. I've been burned. I don't know if I've bought any empty sleeves, but I have bought the wrong record in wrong sleeves, because I'm just still not good at this after all this time. Anyway, so I see Patsy Cline, $2, put it in the pile. Then I look at the track listing, and I realize there's only 3 songs by Patsy Cline, and it's mostly music by Texas Tyler and others. Patsy Cline and these guys. And so it's an interesting thing. Wow, can you guys read that, or is that reversed? I think I'm looking at a reversed image of myself. That's really strange. But can you guys read that, or is that all backwards? But $2, you can't go wrong. It's a decent pressing. Wrangler, I have no idea who Wrangler is. In the history of Patsy Cline music, and this is Wrangler Records, there's no mention of Wrangler. There's other record labels that had licensed it, but they weren't one of them. Okay, so that's the third record I picked up, and I picked up one more. And that's the one I'm most excited about. Gatefold sleeves and something is something that CDs simply can't do. Actually, I've seen some gatefold sleeves of CDs. I have, Jenny. I have. But you're right. There's a lot that vinyl can do that records can't. Or no, a lot that vinyl can do that CDs can't. Absolutely. Eric, welcome in. It's the right. Okay. So it must be showing me. So like, it's very hard to explain, but I'm seeing a mirror flip of myself. So what we've got going on is this is my left, and I'm seeing it as my left instead of it being my, you know what I mean? I don't know how to say that. Jeremy gifted 1 Record-ology membership. Thank you so much. Wow. Jeremy, that was so nice of you. To Tony C. That is great. I didn't even know you could do that. Not just moderating, but playing Santa Claus over here. Wow. That is so cool. I didn't know you could gift each other memberships. By the way, if you too want to be a member, it doesn't cost a lot. And we try to put your name in on the shows. I try to keep those updated as much as possible. I check a couple times a week. Now, the next thing is a record I never knew existed. This is the 4th and final record I bought. You know what? Oh, I was thinking to myself, this is more than, I'm adding this up and it doesn't add up to $18 or whatever I spent, $20, $22. And I'm like, did they add it up wrong? And I realized I got a couple of tapes and I don't have those here. So that's probably what it was. I didn't know this record existed. And this may mean nothing to you. And if it does, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you, this is a record I would really recommend you pick up. If you like beautiful music, the genre of sort of department store, ambient, slightly jazzy, 50s, 60s, swingy, big bandy, kind of Jackie Gleason Presents music. If you want some of the best music of that I've ever heard, this is a record for you. And it comes in sort of an unlikely package because it's a soundtrack to a fairly obscure movie called Houseboat, starring Sophia Loren and Cary Grant. And it's on Columbia. It is not an audiophile pressing. I think this is mono. And I remember loving this movie and remembering a couple songs that Sophia Loren sung in it. And when I saw this, I'm like, holy cow, there was a soundtrack. I guess it makes sense. $3, half off. I got it for $1.50. I'm not joking. I don't think I can remember a point in history when I had ever done this. I put this record on first. I haven't even spun cleaned these. I have a stack of records sitting here. Let me show you how many. I have this many records sitting next to my desk, and I haven't done the spin clean. Not all of these are new. Like some of these, you can tell how behind. I still have my top 5 Christmas albums from that show we did like 3-4 weeks ago is in here. And then some records that were gifted. My Three Stooges record that I got at the record show. So the record show stuff is still waiting to be spun clean. I don't enjoy spin cleaning. You know what I mean? I think it's a great product, an absolute fantastic product. I highly recommend it. It works great. It cleans your records. It's fairly cost effective. But at the same time, it takes so much time. Even if you have 2 records to clean, it's like an hour, hour and a half minimum. The time gets sucked into a vortex of space and time, and I don't know why it happens. But so what I put it off. So I have the intake, ridiculous as that sounds, is down here next to my desk. And when I get to be about that many records, I say, okay, I'm just going to eat it and have 2.5 hours of spin cleaning. But sometimes I want to listen to one of the records before that happens. So I'll spot clean it, or sometimes I'll throw it on dirty. And that was the case for this. It needs a cleaning. It's got fingerprints and stuff. I listened to this record over and over all day. All day I listened to this record. It was that good. The music was so, so good. And if you look on YouTube, you might find audio clips of it. But it is some of the best of its genre. The score is by George Dunning and his orchestra. And songs written by Jay Livingston and Ray Evans. So she sings a couple of popular songs. Almost in Your Arms and Bing Bang Bong. They're fun, kind of 50s pop sounding, but the score, it's chef's kiss, wonderful music. So that was, I could rave and rave about this, and I would recommend it. Give it a listen. It was fantastic. So that's what I got. And then I got 2 tapes. One is, see if I can remember what they are. One is a Patsy Cline tape. Again, just kind of the completest collecting. It was like $2 for that tape. And another one is a Fred Astaire Greatest Hits. I love Fred Astaire music. I have for a long time. People don't think of Fred Astaire as a singer, but I actually really love his singing voice. And so let's add this up. Those are 2 each. That'll be 4. This was $1.50, $5.50. This was 2, $7.50. This was 4. What would that be? Math, not my favorite. 7, 8, 9, 10, $11.50 plus 6. No, that's right. It must have been about 18. Okay, so that's about right. Okay, good. I feel better now. So yeah, those are the records I got. Now, because we traveled, we didn't do like our presents to each other, or some of our presents haven't been opened. So our tree looks pre-Christmas mode, which is kind of weird and cool. Here we are on New Year's Eve, haven't really gone through the presents. There are a few things under the tree that look like either calendars or records. So, we'll see. Maybe I'll have a little bit of a haul video. We're going to be doing that in the very near future. And it's been interesting. Although I've been able to enjoy some last minute gift buying post-Christmas, and that's been kind of nice. Some same-day delivery via Amazon. I definitely relied on Amazon, and I definitely think the $3.99 for the gift wrap is good money because it just comes ready to go. So it's been a blessing. So yeah, we're going to be doing Christmas in the next day or so, and then we're going to be into the new year before you know it, back to work. Jenny says, I found Wrangler Records and the Patsy Cline album on Discogs. I looked it up. It's like 62, right? I just never heard of Wrangler Records. Eric says, hey, Record-ology, what are your favorite records that you've purchased during 2023? Oh, my goodness. Man, that's a loaded question. That Sophia Loren, Cary Grant, Houseboat one, probably top 10 for sure, maybe top 5. Man, I've been blessed with so many records from you guys, from family members. The Beatles box set. This was a birthday present. I got the red and blue remastered 2023 edition, the colored vinyl version that you can only get from the Beatles store. Absolutely phenomenal. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet on here on the show. I think I did last live, but I'm starting to. Some people have said they don't like the new 2023 mixes, and at first I'm like, they're good, they're fine. But I've come across a couple that they aren't my favorite. So I'm starting to see what people mean. Like, and it's not. I don't care because it's like there's still the originals. It's not like there's a new one you don't like, so the original disappeared. So it's kind of silly to get upset about. I mean, yes, they were expensive, so you expect them to be. Anyway, I get that argument, I guess. For me personally, there are some mixes that aren't my favorite. Usually it's the voice is too high in the mix for me. Or what was it? It was Don't Let Me Down. Is that the name of the song? Don't Let Me Down. With Billy Preston on keys. And they have him buried in the mix. And I was like, his keyboard playing is sublime. I heard that quoted somewhere. I think that's the best way to describe it. Some of that song, the interplay between I keep wanting to call it vibe, between the keyboard and the guitar is what makes that song. That is sort of the locomotion of the groove, as it were. Not the record groove, but the musical groove. And it's the interplay between those things, the give and the take. And it's been totally decimated into the mix. His keyboarding is almost inaudible. So it sounds like a pickup mic where you're hearing like an angle mic from an orchestra or something, where you're hearing this section but none of the other sections. So again, it's a creative choice Giles Martin made in mixing that, and that's fine. That's a version that exists now, but that's okay. Tim Allen has a 45 of Bing Bang Bong. Dude, that's awesome. What's on the flip side of it? Is it the other song? That is cool. Is it in good condition? That's really cool. Oh yeah, sorry for the mid rolls. YouTube in their infinite wisdom have decided they're controlling mid rolls now. So content I used to shut that off for these lives because I know it's awful. So the winning number is, and then it goes to a mid roll. Unfortunately, all they can do is have us choose 3 levels: a lot, medium, or few. And I picked few. So hopefully they won't interrupt as much. Also, they used to give me a warning, like mid-roll starting. Tim, sorry about the caps. No, you're good. It's fine. Greg says, I got for Christmas The Grinch Stole Christmas on DVD by Jim Carrey. Grinch Christmas edition. That's cool. He did a great job with that. I really, really like that. That was awesome. So let's see here. Plans and things that are upcoming. We talked about where I've been. We talked about the record player swap. Oh, yeah, I got another story for you. Talked about the new records I've acquired and need to be spun clean. Is there a present or a past tense to spin clean? Another pet project is, and this again is, I have so many nerdy hobbies. Vinyl records is but one of them. So indulge me. I know a lot of people on the channel don't like to hear about video games, and I've done shows about that. We're not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about that anymore now. But I am going to talk about another one of my nerdy hobbies, and that is model railroading. I love trains, and I love model railroading. Aaron, oh, it's so nice of you. Thank you so much, Aaron. That's an honor. Jenny says, spin cleaned. Okay, I'll use that. That sounds good. I think you're right. Anyway, model railroading. I got into it. Oh, yeah, as a kid. I had like a Tyco 80s cheapo plastic HO gauge thing. And about 3-4-ish years ago, I decided I want to get back into it with N gauge, which is the tiny 9mm. I have found that there are disgustingly smaller scales. Z scale, which makes N scale look huge, and N scale as it is half of HO. Then there's something called T scale or T gauge, that the engine is about half the length, about as long as your fingernail. I don't know how they engineer parts that small. Anyway, I'm looking over here because my layout resides in the direction that I'm looking. And I've been kind of trying to rework it. I started putting this together. After we moved, it'd sit in the box, and I would set it up from time to time. But I really wanted a place that I could set it up kind of permanently. And my wife graciously provided the tabletop of a cabinet that, because it's N gauge, doesn't take up so much space. And so I set it up, and I've been working with how to do it. For a while, I was going to have like a Christmas-themed one that was always Christmas. I'm a huge Christmas fan. Yes, I'll listen to Mariah Carey in the middle of summer. But so I put down like this cotton, and the cotton looked beautiful. It's Christmas lights under it, looked like snow. It was beautiful. This Christmas tree in the middle. But then a terrible thing happened. My Durango and Southern narrow gauge rail steam locomotive got caught up in the fibers of the cotton and jammed the push rods and broke. And that was one of my 2 engines. I had a diesel, a Norfolk Southern that I'm looking at right now, and I had the steam, and it's broken. I don't even know if I can fix it. I'm not that great at fixing things. So anyway, I've been working on the new layout over the last few days since we've been back. I've decided to go with more of a less themed look. So it's more generic. So I've got the green paper, back paper. Well, it's paper, but it's like the fuzzy green grass texture stuff. It's got a lake in the middle, some trees, some telephone poles. And I'm really short on buildings, N scale buildings. And right now I've got a diesel pulling 3 passenger coaches and a caboose, which is silly because the diesel is way overpowered for that much train, and you don't put a caboose when you have passenger coaches. But cabooses are for cargo, for cargo freight trains. But it looks cool, and I like it, so that's the way I've got it. And I've got a bunch of rolling stock with the wrong couplers I can't use right now. And that's a separate story. So that's my other pet project. I'm working on that, and you guys know I have the 3D printer. We make the adapters. By the way, everybody that bought the now unavailable midnight, what do I call this? Midnight Starry Night Edition 45 adapters. Thank you for your support of the channel. You can support the channel by buying the orange 45 adapter or other exclusive colors as they come available, thinking about what the next exclusive color is going to be. We're going to probably be doing the exclusive colors in small bursts like we did with this. Put it on sale for a week or two at a time rather than just always having a second color available to make it kind of special. And anyway, so that's that. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I have a 3D printer. So between printing 45 adapters as they get purchased, which I'm thankful we have a fairly steady stream of that, I decided to 3D print some buildings. Buildings are expensive. Anything of trains is expensive. And 3D printing buildings is something I'm going to try. So went to Hobby Lobby the other day, when I bought the paper and the things to make the new layout, I also bought some paint because 3D printing, you're printing in a single color. So I'm printing gray as sort of a base color for the plastic, the PLA. And then I'm going to paint the buildings different colors and stuff. So I got like this $6 acrylic paint set. So that is sort of a pet project I'm working on too. I'm a big geek for model things. A Titanic nerd. I've got this. This is a snap together, the pre-colored plastic model. Stuff like that. Eric says, how is the sound quality of the Miles Davis Kind of Blue UHQR? I myself got the double 45. That's right, Eric. You sent me that. Dude, that thing sounds so good. I got it right down here. I got to do a show on the UHQR. What a fantastic, fantastic record. And what a gift. Thank you so much. I want to talk about gifts too. I got a couple of gifts from viewers over the Christmas holiday, and I haven't had a chance to open both yet. The first one was, and I don't have it right here in front of me, unfortunately. I should have done that. Avatar 610 gifted me a present, and it is under the tree. And I have not, all the presents haven't been opened yet. So if you're wondering why I haven't responded or thanked you yet, well, thank you. But I haven't opened it yet. It said, wait till Christmas. Then somebody, and I forget his name, I apologize, I have it written down over there, gifted me to complete my Merry Christmas Bing Crosby collection of various formats, a fully restored 8-track tape of White Christmas or Merry Christmas by Bing Crosby. And it's a beautiful thing. And I will be listening to it all year. In January too. I don't care. I love Christmas music. Jeremy says spin clun. By the way, you'll notice Jeremy has a little tiny picture of me when you are a member of the, used to be called the Vinyl Nation. Was it called the Vinyl Nation? Inner Circle. The Inner Circle, our membership program, which is so affordably priced now. You get the ability to use little doodads and stickers and things. And so that's one of them there. Aaron says, and also I have 8-track tapes and players and a Zenith console. Wow, that's amazing. Jeremy has been a member for 20 months, and he also gets to make posts that look like that. Very, very cool. Tiptoe, welcome in, says, I saw the coolest stereo setup ever at an antique store today. They have some amazing ones. There was this one back in Denver that had a bubbler jukebox for the colors and the bubbles, and it was like an old one. It was like a 78 changer jukebox, but then it had these satellite speakers that were like mini jukeboxes with also bubbles. That was Colorado Antique Gallery on South Broadway, I think. If you're in the Denver area, it's worth a trip down there to see that thing. They have it right out front. Absolutely amazing. Jeremy has an eBay link for us for the adapter. Thank you, Jeremy, for putting that up there. I appreciate it. If you guys want the adapter, go for it. That's cool, Aaron. I've learned to love 8-tracks. It's not something I was into at first, but it's been something that I've learned to like. It's finicky, it's fun. I feel that in terms of formats that I never originally had, nor do I have any emotional connection to, those two being 8-track and mini disc, I am way more in love with 8-track than I am mini disc. I have this hate relationship with mini disc. At the same time, a fascination. And we've done a lot of shows on it. I've got my that's why I was looking over here. I've got I think it's a JE510 Sony component mini disc player, and I want to love it so much, but it's rough. You can't record past 30 minutes and it starts corrupting. Tried everything. I'm not going to go into all that again. I've had terrible luck with portables. I've got one portable that kind of sort of works now. The format was mesmerizing to me because I remember back in the day, it was the super luxurious thing. It was never huge here in the US, mini disc. But I remember it being this like super rich, fancy thing. You could record digital. It was such a crazy thing. Come to find out, it was compressed. Didn't know that at the time. So it never sounds as good as CD, but it's still super cool. 8-track 3 compression does sound really, it's a very good codec. But yeah, so 8-track to me, I've had better luck with it. I've got a super cheap sound design 8-track player. Doesn't even have line outputs. I'm using the headphone jack and the volume set to about 30% to approximate line value or line level. And I've had the plastic pressure thing go bad. So like there's a little wheel that pops into this slot and holds it firm, and that cracked, and they always do. And I didn't even replace that part. I probably could 3D print it if I could find the file. But what I did is I just took some, I think it was like medical tape or something, and wrapped it around the old one. And it works good for now. So it's kind of janky. And my only other 8-track player is this TNT portable. Oh, that happened on this one. This is the one with the roller problem. Manual with the plunger. Super cool. This is a thrift store find. Maybe my best thrift store. One of my best. I got this thing for like $14. These things sell for like $150 and up. This one works perfectly, absolutely perfectly. It's powered by, hey, look, it's loaded up. Let's play a tape. You guys always say you should play music on here. The YouTube monetization people don't think so, but maybe we can squeeze in something here. This probably isn't going to trigger anything, and I'm not going to play that much. Look at this vintage TDK sleeve. This is a homemade tape, music of the free design. It's a mixtape. So new pressure pad. This is an RCA style, so it's got the spring pad, not the foam. Pinch roller's cleaned off. Tape is good. The splice is new. This one doesn't switch on the foil splice anyway. It's got the plunger and a volume knob, and that's it. Oh, wait, on the side here, we've got AC power and DC power if you wanted to power. It's interesting, you can power it off of both. And then you can see that the tape slot is like that. And you just put the tape in, and music happens. And it is warm inside my lungs, it makes me know. And then push the thing to change it. They are free. Show little children. It fits it perfectly, and then you pull the tape out. It always feels so wrong just yanking the tape out. For people that grew up with cassette tapes, it seems like a cardinal sin to yank a tape out while it's playing, but that's literally how you're supposed to do it. Unless you're Tecmone and have fancy 8-track machines that have an eject. That's it for 8-track for me. I sort of cleaned out the tapes that I didn't really want to, that I wouldn't ever listen to, because you know how it is. You buy some tapes or you're gifted tapes, you may not like all those tapes, or if you buy a collection of tapes and then there's some in there you like, some you don't. So I donated about half of them, and those are the ones I do listen to 8-track. I'll put it on. One of the drawbacks to my realistic player is that I think its capacitors are nearing their life expectancy. So it's got a kind of a muddy sound. As such, I have the tone. Remember that? Tone? I have the tone set to high to get it as crisp as possible. Whoa, David with the super chat. David, thank you so very much for supporting the channel. David says, I remember getting one at a garage sale in the 80s for a few dollars. Now the Panasonic portables are expensive. Yeah, it's so weird. They are, there's these ones and the GE portables, and it's so fun though. It's an interesting format. I made the mistake once of trying to repair an 8-track. I was watching some videos of the 8-track guy, and I got a little too confident and destroyed a Glenn Miller tape. And yeah, so not good at all. I was trying to do the thing where when you've pulled the tape out and you've got a loop here, there's this trick where you can tug on the tape and it causes the take up to overspin, And it actually sucks the loop back in when you do that. Except when I did it, it dumped it all on the floor. Ringo Starr in the house. I'm a huge fan. Thank you for being here. Do I have a Discogs? I do not. I'm not a cataloger. I know some people love to catalog. Sorry, it's taken me a minute to get to. Do you have a Discogs? Discogs? Do you have Discogs? Discogs. Do you have Discogs? I'm sorry, I'm behind on comments. I'm always behind on comments. I do not. All that for a no, too. I'm just not a cataloger. I go there. The Richard Starkey? Are you the Richard? I was an interview of Ringo once, and he's all, to the world, I'm Ringo, but to my family, I'm just Richard. And I was like, I love that. I love that. Yeah, interesting stuff. I don't have Discogs. I don't, to me, it doesn't sound fun to catalog my records. I kind of like this rediscovering what I have. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have a copy of that. I know people, and I get it. People like doing it. I go on there and I mooch off of other people having done that in terms of the information that's available. I use it for research mostly. Tiptoe says, quick question. I bought the red 1x1 turntable you did a video on a while back, and I've been wanting to upgrade the stylus or cartridge. Is it worth the trouble upgrading the whole cartridge? Let me pull this up. I'm going to say no, but before I do that, I want to look this up. There's this groundbreaking YouTube channel. It's called Record-ology. Let's see here. YouTube. Let's see. Record-ology 1x1. Reviewed a few of their products. My Christmas record is 1x1. Red 1x1. 1x1. I'm not seeing it there. Let me go over to here. Videos. Red. We did the red cruiser. Red. We did one with sort of a reddish wood. That was a little while ago. I apologize. I cannot find the one we're talking about. Red 1x1. So I'm assuming it's one that has the 3600 cartridge on it. Do I have one mounted up? I have one, but it's got a different stylus on it. The answer is no, I wouldn't do that. The cartridge, the 3600 is a great cartridge. And the best part is when the stylus needs to be replaced after a few years of use, a couple of years of use, depending on how often you use it, it's going to be cheap to replace. You get an expensive stylus, a cartridge, excuse me. And the difference is you're dealing in the difference between a ceramic and a magnetic is like this. The difference between a low end magnetic like the 3600 and a mid-range magnetic like the Grado Gold is like this. It's a meaningful and noticeable if you kind of pay attention and you're doing a side-by-side comparison. This is all my opinion. But it's not like so day and night that you're missing out kind of a deal. In my opinion. That's my opinion. And it's a lot more affordable to maintain. So I would say no. And in that record player, you're not going to notice a big difference. It's a good record player if it's the one I'm thinking of. And I really wouldn't worry about it whatsoever. Hope that was helpful. Tim, I use my mini disc deck as a preamp every time that I dub vinyl to digital. Interesting. I use it as an input because I've run out of inputs. By the way, if you are interested in VU meters and light up things and switches, stay tuned because we have a show that's partially in the can. I need to film like the climactic shots of that video, put on a new intro and outro, and it will be made public soon. But I'm limited on inputs. I have 5 inputs on this stack. You guys know that I don't use a receiver. I use powered speakers and mechanical switches. So this is 5 input. Wow, how is this making the camera bounce? That's weird. Anyway, so the rack has 5 inputs. Down here, my Pelican switch has 4 inputs, one of them being this switch. So I have a couple limitations on all these devices. So what I do to get around that is the tape deck has an input, so I use that as a double input. The mini disc recorder, same thing. So I use it. I guess it wouldn't be a preamp, but it's kind of nice to get a level. I think I have my radio running through that. Yeah, fun stuff. The head shell does not detach, so it's probably the built-in 3600. I would leave it. Just it's a good cartridge. Leave it. If you're talking about a ceramic red tip, then you can upgrade the stylus, the red plastic housing piece, and the needle that's attached, the stylus, to a diamond one, so it'll be more durable. But the sound quality really can't be improved. My 4/8 track deck. My most popular video is my Pioneer 4/8 track deck. That's cool. That's interesting. I got to check that. I don't know if I've seen that one. Kites are fun. Indeed, they are. I do not have a Discogs. We said that. Love You is another one I know. For me, I just use it to find out the origin of pressings I own. Same with me. And to buy press. I haven't bought, I almost said from Ringo. I haven't bought any records from Ringo, but I'd love to. And I'd love for him to autograph them too. I haven't bought from Discogs. I really haven't. However, 2245's catalog. Holy moly. You're the cataloger, old radios. I knew it was one of you guys or gals. Jenny says the 1x1 turntable unboxing and review was done on 16th September 22. Wow. Okay. Let's 16th September 22. Oddly enough, I can't see that view. Where did my keyboard go? Okay, so it was last Christmas on the 15th. No, he said September. Which one was it? Why am I not seeing it? The heck? Anyway, I don't know why I'm not. Oh, this is weird. I'm seeing a preview of myself on a live feed, and it's about a 10-second delay. That's really interesting. Yeah, so I apologize. I'm not sure, 100% sure which model that is, but if it's a 3600, then just leave it. And honestly, if it's a ceramic, if it's a Suitcase one, I would leave that too. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do. No, it's not the red tip stylus. It had the 1891 or whatever it's called pre-installed. It's probably the 3600. Just leave it. Honestly, that's a fine cartridge. You're not going to realize a huge difference. Discogs has recently become a hub for ads. It does not please me. Yeah, especially this time of year too. A lot of ads are out there. Put the link in the chat if you can't find it. When I eventually do upgrade from a Suitcase player, is there a decent budget one that has a built-in speaker? That's a great question. That comes from Ivy Poison. Welcome in, by the way. Yeah, there is. My go-to right now for portables is the Victrola Revolution Go, I think is what it's called. It's like a plastic. It's very plasticky. If you dropped it, it would never, like it would break. It's not for kids. It's not for people that, aren't gentle with things. That being said, if it's adult owned and operated, it has one of the best sounding built-in speakers I've ever heard on a record player. It's got a 3600, plays 3 speeds. So it would be a candidate for my 78 stylus. And it sounds so good. The speaker is so good. You can use it as a component turntable. You could plug it into your stereo if you wanted to, but the built-in speaker is just fantastic. I used to recommend this MPK, Music Public Kingdom brand Suitcase player. Had a magnetic cartridge, tone arm with a counterbalance, all this stuff. But the company no longer sells record players, unfortunately. Besides that, the Crosley step-up model Suitcase players, like not the Cruiser series, but all the upper-end ones that have the magnetic cartridges, those would all be good. There's some exclusives on there. If you look at some of the reviews we've done. Just type in portable record player into our channel and search for that. You'll find a bunch of recommendations. I'm not seeing the link, Tiptoe. I'm not sure if it's getting filtered out somewhere, but I apologize. I'm not seeing the link. John says, where's the best place to buy records in the Orlando area? So I'm a baby myself when it comes to knowing where to shop for records here. So far, I've had good luck with the record show, the Orlando record show, record and CD show. I've gone twice to that. I think there's one coming up in November, one coming up in January. As far as stores go, I've been to a couple. I've got the signage. Salty Dog Records in Sarasota is small, but worth a visit. I went to, there's this one called Retro. Gosh, what is it called? I'm getting tired, guys. I'm sorry. It's out in Cocoa Beach. There used to be a couple great shops. One of them closed, but the one that's still out there is Retro Vinyl. I want to say Retro. Beachside Retro. It's called Beachside Retro. A phenomenal shop. A phenomenal shop. And then there is a record shop in South. If you go down to South Orlando, I'm just going to look it up. That I've gone to a couple times. In fact, I went there on Record Store Day. Sorry for the mid-rolls, guys. Again, I don't have the ability to stop them completely. I've got them set to as minimal as possible. Or let's see. What is happening here? Nope. Let's go to maps. And we're going to type in vinyl. East West Records. Love East West Records. But there's a bunch I haven't checked out yet. Retro Records. I think I might have. Did I stop in Retro Records? I don't know. I don't think so. Remix Record Shop. That's a donut shop. Rock and Roll Heaven. I drove by there the other day. There's Orlando Vinyl Car Wrap, but I don't think that's the kind of vinyl we're looking at. Park Avenue CDs. I think I stopped in there too. So I'm still learning. In fact, I would ask the same question of you guys. What are some recommendations? Yeah, that Music Public Kingdom one, that kind of rounded edge one. It looks kind of like a train, vintage train luggage. No longer made. No longer made. Yeah, let me know what you end up with. I'd be curious. Tiptoes. Okay, sorry. Generally speaking, it's the stylus upgrade like 3600. Okay, yeah. So if you go from the 3600 to an 1891, red would be. I think that's so you'd be going from a conical stylus, rounded, spherical tip, to a more pointed elliptical, which that's really that's the biggest change. It's a little bit more expensive cartridge, but that's one of the big differences. It's the same. The generator, I think, is the same or very similar. The cabinet is the same to the cartridge itself. So basically, the advantage to an elliptical is that it rides deeper in the groove and therefore tracks the modulation more accurately. So has a minimal, and I'm saying you're not on that record player on normal speakers, you are going to hear minimal difference in a conical to elliptical. Some people may say that's sacrilegious. You don't know what you're talking about. But in my experience, it's a minimal difference. I'm running an 1891B, I think it is, the yellow one, not the red one. It's still conical. I do have a red around here somewhere. It needs a stylus. What is that? I have a couple. Okay. It needs a stylus. The thing is with an elliptical stylus is it's really good for worn out records. And here's why. If you go to the thrift store and you get a record that's crackly, worn out, 99, maybe 95% chance that record was played to death on a conical stylus. So if this is the groove, that stylus is making contact up fairly high in the groove. And that wear is occurring up in that upper area. But down here is perhaps not as damaged. So what happens a lot of time is if we are listening with a conical sort of blunt, rounded, stylus tip in a groove and it's worn out up here where it's making contact, the elliptical will make contact down here instead and sound a lot better because this part of the groove is not worn out down there because it was never touched being that it had been played over and over and over in a different part of the group. I hope that makes sense. So it can make worn out records sound better is what I'm trying to say. And the downside is the gunk, the grime, the grit, the sand, the dust is also down there. So the records have to be very clean when you're playing with an elliptical. And you have to be tracking very lightly. The tracking force is always dictated by the cartridge. So that's, I think, a lot of times why they'll have a separate cartridge for an elliptical stylus versus a very similar cartridge with a conical, because a conical can have a little bit more tracking force just by design, where an elliptical will require very light, like 1 gram or 1.5 usually. But again, the cartridge dictates that. So better for listening to worn out records, but the records have to be clean. So that's the difference there. Discogs we currently really, oh yeah, I already saw that. YouTube Premium. Jay's got my son is for years he's been paying for a premium, and he's like, Dad, gotta do premium. And I've just gotten so used to the ads now. It's just, hey, it's a mid-roll, time to go to the bathroom real quick. But Jenny's not going to have any of that. She's got premium, so that's awesome. You'd want to run it through a spin cleaner. That'd be a very good idea. Speaking of which, I need to do that. We have gone an hour and a half, which is a half an hour longer than I intended on going, but it's been so much fun that I haven't been able to find a stopping point. So I'm going to leave you with this. If I don't upload again before the end of the year, being tomorrow, which is a fairly good possibility, I just want to kind of wrap up 2023, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, by saying how truly thankful I am for you. More so than you realize. You guys mean the world to us. My wife and I, you've blessed us with your friendship, with your comments, with just being there, watching the content, suffering through those mid-rolls, and just engaging in the conversation, teaching me so many things about records and record players. We've never set out to be an authoritative source of information, but rather a friend to experience it with you, learn together, learn from you. And I love you too, Midnight Mood. All of you guys and gals, love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, a wonderful New Year's Eve. Whether you're working or not, whether you're with family or not, look for the positive, look for the good. And something that I've been asked a couple of times, what are my New Year's resolutions? And I'm a goal setter all the time, and I try to stay in a goal-setting mindset. But one of the things that I have learned this last couple months, and it's something I will be practicing in the new year, is gratitude. Practicing gratitude. And not from the standpoint of coming from a place of ingratitude to being grateful. No, coming from a place of wherever we're at, of just looking for the positive, because it is the poison to fear. It is the poison to anger. It is the poison to negativity. To be grateful and have a grateful mindset for everything. In every moment, everything we do, there's something we can be grateful for. So I would leave you with this. Look for the grateful things we can be grateful for. I am extremely grateful for you, and I can't wait till we can get back together again and do another show, do another live, and those things will happen in the new year and maybe sooner. We'll see. My friends, that's going to do it for today. Happy record hunting. We will see you next time.